Hello everyone, welcome to my channel, The Legit Astrologer. My name is Kapoor. In this channel, I make videos related to Vedic astrology and most importantly about the key transits of the upcoming months. If you wish, you can check out my video on 2024 transits for all ascendants that I have recently posted on my channel. In case if you're new to my channel, please subscribe, hit the bell icon, keep yourself up to date with all the upcoming transit videos and Vedic astrology videos. In case you wish to book a personalized consultation with me, you can check out the link to my website in the comment section and the process of reaching out to me. So today this video is about Mars or Mangala and its transit in the sign of Capricorn, which is its sign of exaltation. Mars is making a transit in the sign of Capricorn on 5th of February and it is going to stay in this sign till 15th of March. Mars's transit is about 40 to 45 days long. So this is where Mangal is considered Ucha, or it is exalted. That means it's in a supreme dignity as far as its transit is concerned. Please remember that Mars's transit in the sign of Capricorn only happens once in about a year and a half. So this is a time for us to make the most of this transit because Mangal is in action. Mars is in action. Let's talk about this planet, which is the planet of energy, which is the planet of courage. It is the warrior. It loves to be on the ground. And this is one of the reasons why it gets exalted in the sign of Capricorn. Mars is the natural ruler of the first house, which is the sign of Aries, and the natural ruler of the 8th house, which is the sign of Scorpio. Mars rules yourself, your immunity, vitality, body, overall physique, and the personality. What we consume, what we feed ourselves, and how we live in this world, the kind of lifestyle that we have, Mangal plays a very important role in all these matters. It also rules the 8th house, which is the natural sign of Scorpio, which is about transformation, hidden secret, research. Scorpio is deep, dark waters. Mars is one of those planets who rules one of the sign which represents fire, which is Aries, and the other sign that represents water, which is Scorpio. Aries is pure fire, but Scorpio is deep, dark water. This is a very contrasting nature of what Mars is, because Mars, by its nature perspective, is Agni. It is fire. It is a fiery planet. From a personality perspective, it is represented by someone who has blood red eyes, and that is why we also link someone who could get angry, who could easily be incensed, and someone who is liberal. Mars's exaltation in the sign of Capricorn is also creating a yoga in transit, because it is the natural first house lord going into the natural 10th house of the chart of the natural zodiac, which creates a Simhasana yoga, which means the next 40 to 45 days is to be on the ground at your task and the kind of goals that you have. It is time to put those things in action, and it is a lot to do with work, because 10th house, the natural sign of Capricorn, is about profession. It is about work. It is a karmic house. It is about your actions in the society, why you are in this world, how are you going to contribute to this society, how are you going to contribute to this wider world, what are some of your key actions that you were to take in this life. That is seen by the 10th house. Now Mars has three kind of aspects. It aspects 7th from its position, which is the aspect of desire, but that is only a mere 50% aspect. It has been given two special aspects, which are the aspects of Raksha or protection. Let me explain that. Mars aspects 4th from its position by its special aspect. So during this transit, Mars is going to have a 4th aspect on the sign of Aries. So wherever the sign is placed in your chart needs to pay careful attention, because this is what is going to be protected. It has a desire for protection of matters related to this house or the sign in your chart. From a natural perspective, Mars is making a 4th aspect in the sign of Aries, and in a general sense, it is about protection of yourself, your body, your physique, your immunity, vitality. So these are some of the things which you must take into account. Mars's 8th aspect, which is again a special aspect, that is 100%, is about where this protection or this Raksha is going to come from. And by its 8th special aspect, this time it is aspecting the sign of Leo. So wherever the sign is placed in your chart, what house it rules, you have to pay careful attention to this house, because this is where the protection is going to come from. And from a natural perspective, Mars is giving us a message that the protection is coming from the future. You need to be futuristic. You need to be creative in terms of the pursuits which you have. And children, those who have children, are going to play a vital role in terms of ensuring that there is protection related to the house where Aries rules in your chart. Now let's also understand that the sign of Leo is going to be jointly aspected by 3 planets over the next 40-45 days, which is Jupiter, Saturn and Mars. So quite naturally, some of the significations related to this sign in your chart are going to be highly active over the next 45 days, so watch out for it. During this transit, Mars will also come in contact with Venus and Mercury. They will be forming some yogas. How these yogas will fructify really depend on the kind of time period that you're running and the lordship of some of these planets in your chart, but quite certainly they will be forming some yogas. Whether it will have a positive impact on you or it could be detrimental, it is dependent on several factors. With Jupiter, it is forming a beautiful sambandha or a relationship during this transit because it shares a 1-10 relationship. Jupiter is going pretty strong in the sign of Aries, which is ruled by Mars, and Mars is in transit in the sign of Capricorn. So they share a very good sambandha during this transit. Mars is going to go through 3 different nakshatras during the transit. On 1st of February, it already moved into Uttarashada nakshatra, which is ruled by Sun or Surya, and it will stay in this nakshatra till 18th of February. During this time, wherever the sign of Aries in your chart, where Sun gets exalted, is going to demonstrate some sort of positive results for you. On 18th of February, it will move to Shravan Nakshatra and it is going to stay in Shravan Nakshatra till 7th of March. This is ruled by Moon or Chandra. During this time, wherever the sign of Taurus is in your chart, where Moon gets exalted, is going to demonstrate some sort of positive results. And the last phase of Mars' transit in Capricorn, on 7th of March, it will move to Dhanishta Nakshatra. Dhanishta Nakshatra is ruled by Mars, by Mangal itself. During this time, wherever the sign of Capricorn is in your chart, where Mars is transiting, is going to demonstrate very positive results. Please make a note of these dates. From 7th of March till 15th of March, Mars or Mangala is extremely powerful. It is in its exaltation sign of Capricorn. B, it is in Dhanishta Nakshatra, which is its own nakshatra. So from a dignity perspective, from a mindset perspective and the environment perspective, it is extremely positive. It is that time of the year where you can put things in action, because this is what Mars really desires you to do. Have courage and put your tasks into action. So things that you are going to do during this time, from a manifestation point of view, from an action or a courage point of view, in terms of your work, or if you were to develop yourself, you are likely to have long lasting results, and particularly results throughout the year of 2024. So make sure that you make the most of this time in terms of doing something, or at least keeping yourself active all throughout the day. Whether you work out, exercise, or do your 10,000, 20,000 steps, exercise, eat right, and make the most of this time. The other dates where Mars is also extremely powerful is between 5th of February till 10th of February, which is a smaller window. During this time, Mars is Vargottama, which means in its Navamsha or the D9 chart, it is in the sign of Capricorn as the D1. So it definitely gives it good dignity. Now, during this transit, from a cycle perspective, Mars is moving its focus from the 7th cycle to the 8th cycle, which means that there is constant focus on relationship, partnership, marriage, harmony, and moving its focus towards transformation. So this is the kind of message that through your partnership and relationship or marriage, you have to transform yourself. It is about life and death. It is about inheritance. This is what transformation is all about, which is a painful task. But if you change, it makes you more resilient. It makes you more strong at a mental as well as a physical level. Please also pay attention to this particular date. On 21st of February 2024, Mars and Venus are going to be at the same degree conjunction. So 1 week before that, 1 week after that. If you are running a dasha, antardasha, pratantardasha, where Mars, Venus are playing a role, or if you have key planets in the sign of Capricorn, or if you're running through a Saturn Mahadasha, or if you're running through a Mercury dasha or antardasha, you are likely to have some sort of impact of this transit. Whether it will be positive or not, that really depends on the kind of time period that you're going through and their lordship. But this is going to be a Graha Yuddha or planetary war between Mars and Venus on 21st of February, where they will be at the same degree. So 1 week before that, 1 week after that, you can conclude some results for yourself. Watch out for this date. Who is going to have the maximum impact of this transit? If you're running through a dasha, antardasha, pratantardasha, where Mars is playing a role, where Sun is playing a role, or Moon is playing a role, even where Saturn is playing a role. Since Mars will come in contact with Mercury and Venus, if you're running through a dasha, antardasha, where these planets are playing a role, you are likely to be impacted by this transit. Therefore, I could conclude the next 40 to 45 days, there could be a significant impact on a lot of people, and I hope it is for the greater good. Now let's talk about how this Mars's exalted transit in the sign of Capricorn is going to have an impact on all 12 ascendant signs or the moon signs. At a physical level, primarily I would want you to look at this transit from your ascendant. However, at the mental level, you can also read this from your moon sign. Let's start with Aries ascendants. For Aries ascendants, Mars is an important planet, or Mangala is an important planet, because it rules your first house and the 8th house, and it is making a transit in the 10th house of your chart. Mars for Aries rules yourself, your overall body, your overall personality, your immunity, who you are. It also rules your intelligence, because that is something we see from the first house. First house represents Dhi, so this is where your brain sits. It plays a very important role in ensuring that you get the right direction in your life. It also rules the 8th house of longevity, sudden ups and downs in life. We see transformation from the 8th house. It is also the house where we see research capabilities, because occult, mysticism, any kind of hidden knowledge is seen from the 8th house. This Mars is making a transit in the 10th house. 10th house, Mars is considered to be Digbali, or gaining directional strength. A, it is exalted. B, it is gaining directional strength, which means there are blessings of the Digbal Devata. Therefore, Mars is in a great dignity. And when Lagna Lord is in great dignity, you must understand this is one opportunity that you get only in about an year and a half. In case you have a strong, well-placed, well-disposed Mars in your natal chart, this is a breakthrough period, and I would say it's a glorious time for Aries ascendants as far as your actions in the society is concerned, because this is what we see from the 10th house. It is the karma sthan. Your profession is seen from the 10th house. What you do to sustain yourself, to survive and to earn a daily wage, or what you do in order to take care of yourself, your family and your loved ones. So in case you've been looking forward to changing a job or starting a new business, or at the same time looking for greater and bigger opportunities in your life, this is the time for you to make the most of it, because transit is favorable for you. It will depend on the kind of dasha, antardasha, pratantardasha you're running, and if Mars or Mangala is anyway connected to it. In case if it's favorable, you are likely to have some sort of balance as far as your workplace is concerned. The message of Mars is very clear, that you have to put your energies, action, and what you do, stay on the ground, keep yourself very, very active as far as your workplace is concerned. So whatever number of hours you work through the day, you have to ensure that you keep yourself absolutely very much active. One of the remedies that you would want to do is to ensure that you're hydrated enough when you're at your workplace, because Mars is Agni, it's fire, and that's at your workplace. And in order to cope up with it and channelize it, you need to consume lots of water all through the day. Mars, with its 4th special aspect, would be aspecting your first house or your ascendant. This is the aspect of protection. It is about what needs to be protected. So the protection needs to be done of yourself. So you have to take care of yourself for your overall well-being. So one of the things that you can do is to make sure that you eat right, exercise, and you have a good night's sleep as well. Now, where this protection is going to come from is the 8th aspect of this Mars, which during this transit is in your 5th house. This protection is going to come from your future, from your children, any kind of creative pursuit. That is the kind of message which Mars is giving to you during this transit. Overall, I would say it is a blessed and a positive transit, and you need to make the most of it, because your 5th house is also particularly aspected by all 3 planets during this time: Jupiter, Saturn and Mars. Future seems to be quite promising, but you need to start acting upon it and start thinking about the things that you were to achieve for the rest of the year. I wish you the very best. God bless you. Let's now talk about Taurus ascendants. For Taurus ascendants, Mars rules the 7th house and it rules the 12th house, and it is making a transit in the 9th house. Mars is the ruler of your marriage, partnership, relationship, harmony. In the beginning of the video, I shared with you an important aspect. Mars is considered to be the protector of your marriage or partnership because it rules the natural 8th house, which is also the Mangalya Sthan. Mars, from a nature perspective, doesn't really like marriages or likes to get married, but it wants to protect the marriage. Take an example of Hanuman, who is closely associated to Mars. Now, we all know that Hanuman flew across the sea to Lanka. Why did he do it? To ensure that Lord Ram and Mata Sita reunite and they live a happy married life. Mars, for Taurus ascendants, also rules the 12th house, which is the house of losses, expenditure, your higher self-consciousness. For that, Mars plays a very important role. It also is the house of sleep or your bed comforts and how you like to rest or relax yourself. This Mars is making a transit in the 9th house of Dharma, fortune, father or father figure. So there is Agni, there is fire in the house of fortune, in the house of higher learning. So this fire needs to rise. In order to ensure that the fire rises, you need to do something to increase your higher self-consciousness, your overall self-awareness. Sit down, put down your strengths, opportunity areas. Try to identify what you would like to learn as far as the higher learning is concerned. If this learning is very much related to the kind of business that you do, or if you have a kind of partnership, it is going to benefit you quite a lot during this time. This is also a natural yoga in the transit, where your 7th lord is making a transit in the 9th house. During this transit, Mars is aspecting your 12th house. So what is being protected? Your 12th house, which is your expenditure and losses, are being protected during this time. So you need to ensure that you save money, you accumulate this wealth, or you make some very wise investment related decisions over the next 40-45 days that could reap you some long lasting results. Try to be conscious in these matters, because Mars is also aspecting your 4th house. This protection is coming from your comfort space, either your homeland or your mother is going to play a very important role in ensuring that your overall peace of mind and your losses and expenditure are being protected. So take their advice, and at the same time, things that you do for your homeland, this could be quite beneficial for you during this time. Mars is also aspecting your 3rd house by its 7th aspect, but that is only 50% aspect, so I'm not going to talk a lot about it, but it has some sort of desire to communicate or change when it comes to marriage and partnership related matters. One of the advice that I would give you during this time is to listen to your partner, because Mars is making a transit in the 3rd from the 7th house, which means that communication is the key in your relationship, and that is something you would need to strengthen during this time. This very well applies to Taurus ascendants, Taurus moon signs. Relationship is going to be the focus of the hour. You need to mend the ties, you need to mend those relationships for your better future. Take it easy, do not get into an aggressive or a reactive stage as far as your communication is concerned. Be a good listener and respect other people. Practicing this, you will also be able to gain respect. Overall, I would say it is a good transit for you. Particularly, your Lagna Lord is also going to make a transit in the 9th house during the same time. So there are good energies in that house, and I hope you make the most of it. Thank you. Let's now talk about Gemini ascendants. For Gemini ascendants, Mars is the ruler of the 6th house and the 11th house. Mars is considered to be a potent malefic for Gemini ascendants. All the Mercury ruled ascendants, Mars is considered to be a potent malefic, and vice versa. For all the Mars ruled ascendants, it is Mercury who is considered to be a potent malefic. This is the lord of 6th house, which is daily routine. This is the lord of health, things that you do on a day-to-day basis, debts and diseases. This is also where we see job from. We also see intelligence from the 6th house, because that is something which helps you surpass the competition, which is an important aspect of the 6th house. Mars also rules 11th house of gains, of what you do in order to achieve things related to the material world. 11th is also 6th from the 6th house, therefore we see enemies, and we also see friends from the 11th house. Okay, those friends who can turn into foes, that is most important as far as the 11th house matters are concerned. This Mars is making a transit in your 8th house. Now the 6th lord is going to the 8th house. This is creating a Viparita yoga. Mars is in a great dignity as far as its transit is concerned, because it is exalted and at the same time it is causing a Viparita yoga. So things related to Mars, Mangala, you will be at the stage where you might see yourself going down, but eventually you will rise. You will rise and conquer obstacles during this time, which are related to your enemies, or those people who oppose you are likely to get defeated during this time. You will also have greater spiritual pursuits over the next 30 to 40 days. So it's an excellent time as far as spiritual renunciation, spiritual upliftment, spiritual knowledge is concerned. Meditation is going to be the key, because your 8th house will have heavy energies. Mercury is going to be transiting, Venus is going to be transiting, and Mars is there. So there is a good time for you to rejuvenate, take a step back, because you will need it to cope up with transformation. And if this transformation happens by force, you would be in a difficult position. So it is time for you to embrace this transformation and be more resilient to whatever you do in life. One thing that you have to be careful of is just what you eat, what you consume. Have a well balanced diet over the next 40-45 days to avoid any kind of issues with your stomach or your health. If you eat well, if you exercise right, which is the ultimate remedy for you for the next 30-40 days, this could be a good time period for you. Otherwise it could be challenging. Mars during this transit is aspecting your 11th house by its 4th aspect, so your gains are being protected. So it will ensure that you gain during this time, because there is again a good aspect of Mercury, Venus, Mars on your 2nd house. So income is going to increase, or it is going to continue. And at the same time, Mars is aspecting your 3rd house by its 8th aspect. So this protection is coming from either your younger siblings, or it is coming from your efforts, your courage, your determination, and your communication. So the more you communicate during this time, you would be protected as far as your gains are concerned, which has a direct relationship with communication. Overall, I would say it's a mixed transit, but the later part of the transit is quite promising, as Mars would make a transit from your 8th house to the 9th house. I wish you the very best. Let's now talk about Cancer Ascendants. For Cancer Ascendants, Mars is a very important planet because it is particularly a Yoga Karaka planet. It rules your 5th house and it rules your 10th house. It rules the trinal house and it rules the quadrant house or the Kendra. Therefore, it becomes a Yoga Karaka, or the most important planet. I have said this many times in my video. In my opinion, 5th Lord is one of the most important planet of any chart, because this is the ruler of future. It is all about progress. We also see wealth from the 5th house. Those kind of wealths that are either earned by your creative pursuits or which is very futuristic in nature. Therefore, we also see children from the 5th house. This is where the king sits. It is all about authority. Mars also rules your 10th house of profession, work, what you do in your day-to-day life, your actions in the society, what you do in order to survive and sustain yourself in this world, and how you grow from a professional point of view and also from a personal point of view. This Mars is making a transit in your 7th house of marriage, partnership, relationship, harmony, the kind of business that you do, those people who are opposite to you. It is not the most comfortable place for Mars, because Mars goes Maran Karaka, or it's a death-like situation for Mars in the 7th house, where it loses its significance. So I could very well say that in order to improve significance of the Mars, you have to focus on Mars related things or Mangal related things, which is a lot of energy, passion, determination and fire in anything that you do for your future and for your work. That needs to be protected. It is making a transit in the 7th house. It is Maran Karaka. If you are married or if you have a partnership, or those people who are opposite to you, they would really go out of the way to support you during this transit. Make sure that you take support of your spouse or your partner, because they are going to play a very important role. They might have some suffering, but towards the end of the day, it is going to benefit you. And at the same time, you have to ensure that you take care of your partners during this time. Mars is also by 7th aspect, aspecting your ascendant by 50% aspect. So it would expect you to stay active all through the day. Make sure that you consume lots of water. The reason for that is, firstly, by the 4th aspect, Mars is aspecting your 10th house. It wants to protect your workplace, your job, or what you do on a day-to-day basis. Now, this protection is coming from your 2nd house, where it is aspecting by its 8th aspect. That is all about your family. So your family is going to play an important role for the protection of your workplace. What you consume, what you eat, that will be directly linked to growth and protection and stability of the workplace. So that is something you need to make sure of. You need to drink plenty of water. You need to stay hydrated, because there is Agni in your ascendant and also in your 2nd house what you consume. So make sure that you do this all throughout the time when Mars is having this transit. That is the most ultimate remedy for you. Overall, I would say it is a mixed transit, but at the same time, I say if you take care of some of these things and if you listen to your partner, things could be better for you. I wish you the very best. Let's now talk about Leo ascendants. For Leo ascendants, again, Mars becomes a very important planet. So it plays two kinds of role. One, it is a Yoga Karaka planet, and also it is considered to be the Badakesh of Mars. Now, what could be the case where Mars acts as a Yoga Karaka or acts as a Badak is very much dependent on the placement in your natal chart. So it could act in favor. In 80% of the cases, I have seen Mars to be or Mangal to be a Yoga Karaka or the most favorable planet for Leo ascendants. It rules your 4th house. 4th house of comfort, your overall satisfaction, things that you do that make you feel content, mother or your homeland, those places where you feel most protected, and that is the kind of home for you. We also see real estate, vehicles, property from the 4th house. Mars also rules your 9th house of the chart, 9th house of fortune, long distance travel, higher learning, father. Now, a common fact about Leo ascendants is Mars is also the ruler of mother, 4th house, and also the ruler of father. Therefore, Leo is quite a karmic sign, and that is one of the reasons that no planet gets exalted or debilitated in the sign of Leo. And it is quite natural that all Leo ascendants, Leo moon signs, they have some or the other karmic nature duties to fulfill as far as their parents are concerned, both mother and the father. And most part of the life, they would have certain concerns, certain issues, or certain ways of continue to have that connect with their father and mother. This Mars is transiting in your 6th house of daily routines, your competition, debts and diseases. We also see intelligence from the 6th house. Mars as a natural malefic is considered to be good in the 6th house, because 6th house is also an Upachaya house. It plays a very important role in growth. So this Mars, therefore, by its placement and being in exaltation as a Yoga Karaka, is quite favorable and supportive as far as your daily routine is concerned. Job related matters are going to improve. Condition you put energy in anything that you do on a day-to-day basis. For the next 30-40 days, you need to ensure that you're on your toes, absolutely 200% active in anything that you're doing all throughout the time. This Mars is quite powerful. It is aspecting your Lagna. By its 4th aspect, which is a special aspect of protection, it is aspecting your 9th house. So it wants to protect your Bhagya, your fortune. Any long distance travel that you take during this time, as far as the journey is concerned, is going to be nice. It could be rewarding as well if it is related to your professional pursuits. Mars by its 8th aspect is aspecting your 1st house. That means you are the owner or the protector of your bhagya or fortune. So you need to take a step. You need to act in order to ensure that fortune favors you. You can't leave anything and everything to destiny. It is the time for you to act. It is the time for you to stay absolutely active all throughout the time. And you could also gain from foreigners or people from foreign lands during this time. In case you work with some foreigners, in case you're associated to them, you could have certain gains as far as those relationships are concerned. Overall, I say it is a blessed, positive transit of Mars, and I wish you the very best. Now let's talk about Virgo Ascendants. For Virgo Ascendant, Mars is the ruler of the 3rd house and the 8th house, the ruler of change, younger siblings, communication, the kind of efforts that you do. 3rd is also an Upachaya house. We see growth from this house. We see free will from this house. Mars also rules the 8th house of transformation, inheritance, sudden changes or sudden ups and downs in life. It's a very mysterious and an uncertain house. We also see longevity from the 8th house. We also see research, hidden subjects, hidden knowledge from the 8th house. Mars is a potent malefic as far as Virgo ascendants are concerned, and this Mars is making a transit in the 5th house. Your 3rd and the 8th lord making a transit in the 5th house, which is about future. It is about children, creativity, speculation. We also see love and relationships from 5th house, and this kind of love is more of unconditional love. Mars's key message is that change is coming for your future. It would very much be dependent on your decision making capabilities or abilities during this time. You're likely to have some sort of confusion as far as your future is concerned or what you were to do. So for that, you need to strengthen your mind and ensure that you take wise decisions. Do not make decisions in a rushed manner. Take your time. Try to look at pros and cons of these decisions. It could be either related to the upcoming change, it could be related to your workplace, because future is transformation, and in order to transform yourself, you need to ensure that the process that you go through would be painful. So that is something which you need to be mindful of if you were to cope up with this change. Mars is going to aspect your 8th house by its 4th aspect during this time. Now this is protecting your transformation. This is really protecting your change that is upcoming. Where this protection is coming from? This protection is coming from your 12th house, because this is what Mars's 8th aspect is all about. Your protection is coming from your higher self-consciousness, your expenditure or the kind of losses, or your ability to give away, help those who are in needs. If you connect with certain charitable institutes that work towards patients or hospitals and make donations, this could be a potential remedy for you during this transit in case you feel any kind of ill effects of Mars during this time. Remember, this is an exalted Mars in the 5th house, which is the house of progression. So if you cope up with this change, if you transform yourself, you're likely to succeed in your endeavor and reach an authoritative position as far as your work is concerned. But this would primarily depend on the kind of dasha, antardasha, pratatadasha that you are going through and how Saturn is placed in your chart or disposed in your chart. I anticipate that the second half of this transit could be much favorable, but overall it is a mixed transit, and I wish you the very best. Let's now talk about Libra ascendants. For Libra ascendants, Mars becomes the ruler of the 2nd house and the ruler of the 7th house. Libra ascendants might have the kind of fear which is related to Mars or Mangal, that oh, it's a Mara Graha. But at the same time, you shouldn't have any fear as far as Mars or Mangal is concerned. Yes, certainly it rules the 2nd and the 7th house, but these houses also indicate wealth, dhana, and at the same time your marriage, relationship, partnership. So that is the kind of role which Mars plays in your life. This is the ruler of your family, those people who you would like to protect, how you feed yourself, your accumulated wealth or the source of income. Mars also rules partnership, marriage, harmony, relationship, those people who are opposite to you. And this Mars is making a transit in your 4th house in the sign of Capricorn in its exaltation state. Mars is also one of the significators or karaka for the 4th house, because we call Mars as Bhumi Karak. It is the significator of lands and real estate, and this is also something we see from the 4th house. This is a mixed position for Mars, because on one side it is one of the significators of this house. On the other hand, it is opposite to where it gains directional strength. Mars gets Digbali in the 10th house, therefore it is losing direction when it comes to the 4th house, so it needs direction to succeed. Now this could be a blessing in disguise as far as Libra ascendants are concerned, because if a potent malefic planet loses direction, this could be beneficial for the individual native. Mars, by its 4th aspect, is going to be aspecting your 7th house, so you need to protect your marriage, relationship, partnership. That's a very clear message of this transit. Where this protection is coming from, it is coming from the 11th house, which is the 8th aspect of Mars during this time. Your protection is coming from your friends, so you need to listen to their advice, take that into account, your wider social network, and the kind of gains that you have. Make sure that these gains are for your partner and you make certain contributions in your life. Overall, I would say it is a mixed transit, and I wish you the very best. Let's now talk about Scorpio ascendants. For Scorpio ascendants, Mars is an important planet because it's your Lagna lord. It's the ruler of the 1st house and the 6th house, ruler of yourself, your overall body, vitality, immunity, intelligence, because we see Thi from the 1st house. This is where your brain is. Therefore, it ensures that you make good decisions in life in the best interest of yourself first. Mars also rules the 6th house of daily routine, things that you do on a day-to-day basis, your job, debts and diseases, competition, and we also see growth from the 6th house. This Mars is making a transit in your 3rd house of younger siblings, communication, change, the kind of efforts that you've put in order to grow. We also see free will from the 3rd house. The significator of the 3rd house is Mars. Therefore, from that point, it is quite a positive and a strong transit as far as a significator is concerned. Is Mars signifies younger siblings. It is all about courage, and in order to make any efforts in life, in order to grow, courage and energy are two things that play the most important role. If you were to grow in life, you need to put efforts. And in order to put efforts, you have to have energy. And this is what Mars represents. The message is very clear. Change is coming. But at the same time, you have to put 3x efforts in order to deal with that change. You need to ensure that you're absolutely 100% active and on the ground in terms of what you're doing. One remedy that you must do during this time is to use your hands to do anything. I would suggest you to write a journal. Use a pen to write down your notes or thoughts or things that you do on a day-to-day basis. You can also do this to manifest things for yourself. Or another remedy would be that you work in your kitchen using your hands to do something. Any supportive kind of work could also be good during this time as far as a simple remedy is concerned. This Mars is aspecting your 6th house by its 4th aspect, which means the protection of your daily routine or daily chores or things that you do on a day-to-day basis. And this also ensures that your intelligence and your job needs to be protected. Where this protection is coming from? This is coming from the 10th house, where Mars is having an 8th aspect. That means your workplace is going to protect your daily routine or daily chores or things that you do on a day-to-day basis, your job or the kind of work that you do, and the relationships that you have with people at your workplace. That is really going to bring some sort of mental peace. So make sure that you network with them. Make sure that you build connections and relationships at the workplace during this time, because these are the people who are likely to support your overall progress at the personal as well as at the professional level. If you are looking forward to any kind of promotion, incentive, reward, recognition, make sure that you have visibility at your workplace and you build great relationships by your credibility. Overall, I would say it is a good transit and I wish you the very best. Let's now talk about Sagittarius ascendants. For Sagittarius ascendants, Mars becomes the ruler of the 5th house and the 12th house. 5th house, which is all about future progression. This is where the king sits, This is also the house where we see wealth from. We also see children from 5th house. 5th house plays a very important role in creative pursuits or things related to speculation. I have said this many times that 5th lord is one of the most important planet for any ascendant. Mars also rules the 12th house for Sagittarius ascendants, which is about losses, it's about expenditure, also your higher self-consciousness. This makes Mars more of a neutral, but a graha that is more on the positive side, because we consider 12th lord to be neutral and 5th to be highly auspicious. Therefore, Mars becomes a potential yoga karaka for Sagittarius ascendants. This Mars is making a transit in the 2nd house of accumulated wealth, your family, those people who you would like to protect, what you feed and how you feed yourself. This is creating a natural dhana yoga in transit. If you are expecting any rise in your wealth, income, this is a potentially favorable time. I would also encourage you that your future related decisions should be very much focused towards having an additional source of income. This is the time for you to think about it. Start something new that could give you a secondary income, or that is how you can support yourself as well as your family during this time, and try to focus on building your savings, making some wise investment related decisions that are more towards the long run. This is a potentially favorable time, because the decisions that you make during this time with regards to your wealth and financial management would go a long way in order to get you some long lasting results. This Mars, by its 4th aspect, is aspecting your 5th house. It wants to protect your future. It wants to protect your children and your progress. That is a very clear message. This protection is coming from your 9th house. A mentor, your father or father figure, or a guru would play a very important role in ensuring that your future is protected. In order to protect your future, you can also pick up a course, upskill yourself, higher learning. That is the kind of message which Mars is giving you during this time. If you were to succeed, if you were to earn wealth, you need to learn, you need to take support of a mentor or a guru, get upadesha, get some learning, and make certain decisions accordingly for your better future. The other thing that you have to be mindful of is your speech. Try not have a fiery speech. Take control of your aggression. Channelize it in the right direction in order to build your influencing skills and try to sell and convince to other people. Overall, I would say it is a positive transit, and I wish you the very best. Let's now talk about Capricorn ascendants. For Capricorn ascendants, Mars becomes the ruler of the 4th house and the 11th house. 4th house, which is about your satisfaction, your comfort space, things that you do which make you feel happy, which make you feel content. We also see mother or the homeland from the 4th house. We see vehicles, property, real estate, fixed assets from the 4th house. Mars also rules the 11th house of gains, your material success, your wider social network, and what you do in order to ensure that you're living a comfortable life. 11th lord is more of a malefic because it also represents bigger enemies, greater enemies in life. But Mars is more of a neutral planet for Capricorn ascendant. And I must tell you that this Mars is making a transit in your 1st house in its exaltation sign of Capricorn. The fire is in yourself, your ascendant, which is all about your intelligence. This is about your immunity, your vitality, overall personality, knowledge, your knowledge and the decisions that you make for your own self and who you really are. Remember that this kind of energy in your ascendant would only come once in about an year and a half. So you need to make the most of this time. This is a natural yoga in transit because your 4th lord is coming in ascendant. Your 11th lord is coming in ascendant. Firstly, it is making a yoga which ensures that you have a successful and a progressive future. Secondly, it is also creating a dhana yoga in transit, so you can take some decisions that are related to the best interest of yourself and those who you love in order to gain as much as you can during this transit. So if you're expecting any kind of increment, bonus, or any kind of recognition, this could be a potentially favorable time for you. The only remedy that Capricorn ascendants need during this time is to exercise every day. Follow the Martian discipline, which is to stay active all the time, to stay on the ground, act like a warrior, not literally going into the war, but if you're doing something, you give your 200% in it. If you're working for 8 hours make sure that you work and only work all through the time. You need to exercise, eat right, and any kind of physical activity would be the only remedy for you during this time, which would work. This Mars is aspecting your 4th house. It wants to protect your comfortable space, your peace of mind, your mother or your homeland, and this protection is coming from your 8th house. 8th house of inheritance, 8th house of transformation. So you need to change yourself in order to ensure that you stay content with the kind of things that you're doing, and this is where the protection is going to come from. Any kind of sudden change would eventually lead you to a comfortable situation or the space, and would be good for yourself and also for your mother during this time. Overall, I say it is a promising, positive transit. Once in 1.5 years, make the most of it. Thank you. Let's now talk about Aquarius ascendants. For Aquarius ascendant, Mars rules the 3rd house and the 10th house. It is an important planet because it rules one of the important kendras, which is the 10th lord. Mars, from a 3rd lord perspective, rules change, younger siblings, your efforts, communication, growth, because 3rd house is the Upachaya house. It also rules your profession, your overall actions in the society, which is the 10th house. We see job or any kind of work that you do in your life which helps you grow, which helps you take care of yourself and your family. The kind of job or the work that you do is seen from the 10th house. So it plays a very important role in our overall professional success and the kind of endeavors that we have and the duties that we need to fulfill in our life. Let's not forget, this is the Karma Sthan. So Mars for Aquarius ascendants will always ensure that you stick to your duties or the overall purpose of your life. This Mars is making a transit in the 12th house of losses, expenditure, your higher self-consciousness. It is an important house because it helps you become more self-aware. It also helps you be more charitable in nature, the ability to help others, those who are in need. The message is very clear. This is a reflective time in terms of the kind of decisions that you're taking, and in a way it is also a Viparita Yoga because your 3rd lord's in the 12th house. Things would go adverse in nature, but eventually you would rise. This is also a reflective time for you as far as the workplace related matters are concerned. There could be certain change that could happen which might be unpleasant for you, but if you embrace this change, if you're able to cope up with this change, things could be of benefit to you. Resistance is not the solution. You need to have an acceptance. Try to explore this change. Try to take support of the people that you work with during this time. That could be beneficial for you. If you work with foreigners or in a multicultural environment, you could get some favors from the people. But one thing that you have to ensure is to get a good night's sleep, because that is likely to be disruptive during this time. Mars is certainly in its exaltation sign, but the more you become self-aware during this time, your energy, your fire should be in knowing more about yourself in order to be more conscious about your decision-making capabilities. You need to think and act, not be in a kind of confused situation. Lethargy and any kind of procrastination is not the solution. You need to stay active towards the end of the day. Mars is going to be aspecting your 3rd house. It wants to protect your change, your communication and the efforts. It wants to ensure that the efforts that you put should reap certain results. This protection is coming from your 7th house. This is where Mars has the 8th aspect of where the protection is coming from. So your spouse or your partner is going to play a very important role in ensuring that your change and efforts are being protected. Take their advice, take their suggestion, and at the same time, if you're in a kind of business or even business partnership or those people who are opposite to you, reach out to them in order to get that support. Overall, I would say it is a mixed transit for Aquarius ascendants, and I wish you the very best. Let's now talk about Pisces ascendants. For Pisces ascendants, Mars plays a very important role in wealth and fortune related matters because it is the ruler of your 2nd house and it is the ruler of your 9th house. Therefore, it rules 2 Lakshmi Bhavas, the ruler of wealth or being the Dhanesha. It also rules your family, those people who you would like to protect, how you feed yourself, and this also ensures in a way that it is protecting yourself and your Lagna. Mars also rules the 9th house of fortune, long distance travel. Mangala is your Bhagyesha, ruler of your fortune. It rules the father figure, Guru, higher learning or higher education as well. This Mars is making a transit in the 11th house of gains, material success and material comforts of this world, your wider social network, things that you do to influence others. How do you build your network? How do you create an aura? 11th house also represents your bigger enemies and dealing with those. Any planet, particularly a malefic, does very well as far as transit is concerned in the 11th house, and I've said this a number of times. Therefore, from a transit perspective, no doubt about it, it's a good transit. Second lord making a transit in the 11th house, it is creating a Dhana Yoga in transit. However, for this Dhana Yoga, your fortune will be favorable. So any decisions that you take to upskill yourself, to learn, it will be directly connected to the kind of wealth that you make and your capabilities to even increase it further. So this is a very favorable window that you need to make the most of it. Mars is in great dignity. It is exalted and making a transit in your 11th house. So there is a rise of Bhagya or fortune because that is favorable. So anything that you do with regards to learning, education, and the kind of decisions that you make as far as your financial management is concerned is going to be the key during this time. You need to be a bit cautious of your friends, the people who you trust. So you could have some karmic repercussions in such relationships during this time, so just be careful or cautious about it. Mars is going to be aspecting your second house by its fourth aspect, so it wants to protect your wealth, it wants to protect your family, your food, or what you consume. So you have to be very mindful of it in terms of what you consume. So make sure you stay hydrated, drink plenty of water. That is the only remedy you need to do over the next 40-45 days. This protection is coming from your sixth house. This is where Mars's eighth aspect is all about, from your daily routine or things that you do on a day-to-day basis. If you stay active, if you stay on the ground all throughout the day, you will have favorable results as far as the wealth-related matters are concerned. Condition, it will depend on your dasha, antardasha, pratantardasha that you're going through during this time. But overall, I would say it's a positive transit, and I hope and wish that you make the most of it. Thank you very much. So this was about Mars's exalted transit in the sign of Capricorn, which only happens once in about a year and a half. I hope that we make the most of this transit. May the energies of Mars make us contribute even more and put a lot of efforts at our workplace and be successful in our daily endeavors and what we do in our life. Thank you very much. God bless you all.